The following broadcast of the President's birthday party is presented by the National Ike Day Committee in conjunction with the Republican State Committee with and for the District of Columbia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jimmy Stewart, and I'm speaking to you from Los Angeles. Today is Ike Day. All day long, in big and small communities alike, people of the United States have been celebrating Dwight D. Eisenhower's birthday. Now, during the next 29 minutes, you will see several of these celebrations in progress, and we'll visit with the President and his family at the White House. And helping us to entertain the President on his birthday, in order of their appearance, will be Katherine Grayson, Howard Keel, Helen Hayes, Eddie Fisher, Nat King Cole and the Voices of Victory, Irene Dunn, James Cagney, Fred Waring, who are before our cameras and our microphones from New York to Hollywood, from Abilene, Kansas to Washington, D.C., all of them to say happy birthday, each in his or her own way. Now, Ike Day is more than just a birthday celebration. It's a nationwide tribute to a man who has devoted almost all of his adult life to the service of his country. So, for all of you out there who are watching in your homes, I know that I express your feeling when I say now, happy birthday, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
And I'd like to say good evening, Mrs. Eisenhower, good evening, Major and Mrs. John Eisenhower, and good evening, David and Barbara Ann. We're very grateful that you could be with us and allow us to be at your birthday party, Mr. President. But isn't some of the family missing?
Yes, that's right. This is a very special occasion, you know, for David and Ann. They're allowed to stay up this late, but the two others, Susie and Mary Jean, they're in bed.
I see, sir. Well, now, I usually get breakfast in bed on my birthday, Mr. President. Do you get any special treatment from the family on your birthday?
Well, I get special treatment, all right, but it's not breakfast in bed. I can't eat breakfast in bed. But there's a couple rooms around here that are locked up, and I can't go in until tomorrow. I'm barred from them. But tomorrow I'm promised a lot of surprises.
I see, sir. Well, now, Mr. President, have they told you what we have in mind for you tonight?
Only a very few hints. I'm very much in the dark about what this is all about, Jimmy.
Well, sir, maybe I can give you a hint. A number of your friends and admirers are going to present their greetings, and a few of your favorite songs, and some of your favorite scenes. And we're going to begin, Mr. President, with a place I'm sure you'll recognize. The southeast corner of Lamar and Day Streets in Denison, Texas, with this charming and friendly frame house. This is where it all started. You were born here. And then the family moved northward to a town where the old Chisholm Trail met the railroad. The people here call it the Crossroads of America. Abilene, Kansas is one of the biggest little cities in the Midwest. And naturally, the townspeople talk with pride about you and your family, as they always have. I'm sure you recognize these old friends. And near Texas Street, where Wild Bill Hickok gained fame, they show visitors the creamery where you worked, and the old swimming hole you used to enjoy. It's almost dried up today, though. They point to the church where you worshiped, the museum which bears your name, and the walnut tree you planted there. Next to the museum is the Eisenhower family home, and today it's being repaired and strengthened to accommodate the thousands of visitors who wend their way to 201 Southeast 4th Street to see this famous house. Now, right now, Mr. President, on your television set, you can see the living room just exactly as it used to look when your parents and your brothers gathered there in the quiet Abilene evenings. The piano was always the center of interest, so tonight we're going to make it that way again. And here are a couple of talented friends to sing a song or two. This room has heard these songs before. Mr. President, a happy birthday from Catherine Grayson and Howard Keel.
Mr. President, we heard that you and Mrs. Eisenhower used to like a song that went like this. Katie, if I may.
Can't you hear me calling Caroline? It's my heart a-calling, darling. Lordy, how I miss you, gal of mine. Wish that I could kiss you, Caroline. Ain't no use now for the sun to shine, Caroline. Caroline, can't you hear my lips a-saying? Can't you hear my soul a-praying? Can't you hear me calling, Caroline? Ain't no use now for the sun to shine, Caroline. Caroline, can't you hear my lips a-saying? Can't you hear my soul a-praying? Can't you hear me calling, Caroline?
And a few years later, Mr. President, this was added to your list of favorites. Tiptoe to the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Tiptoe from your pillow to the shadow of a willow tree, and tiptoe through the tulips with me. Knee deep in flowers we'll stray, we'll keep the showers away, and if I kiss you in the garden, in the moonlight, will you pardon me? Come tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Catherine and Howard, can you give us one more favorite of the President and Mrs. Eisenhower?
We'd love to.
Down among the sheltering palms, oh honey, wait for me, oh honey, wait for me. Meet me down by the old Golden Gate, out where the sun goes down about 8.
Oh, my love is burning, burning, burning. How my heart is yearning, yearning, yearning to be
Down among the sheltering palms, oh honey, wait for me. Oh, my love is burning, burning, burning. Oh, my heart is yearning, yearning, yearning to be down among the sheltering palms, oh honey, wait for me.
Thank you, Catherine Grayson, Howard Keel. Now, Mr. President, All over the country tonight, parties are being held in celebration of Ike Day. One of the biggest, a youth celebration, is going on right now, just a few blocks from where you are, in the presidential ballroom of the Statler Hotel right there in Washington. And waiting there is one of America's first ladies of the theater, Miss Helen Hayes.
Mr. President, even though you can't be in this particular place with us, we do want you to enjoy this cake, your birthday cake, with us, because this is a very special cake. It was baked according to Mrs. Eisenhower's own recipe. So, since deeds and not words are the true measure of accomplishment, as you have so often shown, I'm going to stop all this speech making and I'm going about cutting this cake right now. And here, Mr. President, for you, a slice of your favorite cake for your birthday. And now, here. See the President over there? Well, Johnny Cross, now don't you drop that. You know where you're to go with it? You know where it's to go?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine. Good luck.
A couple of years ago, Mr. President, you were the honored guest at a dinner at the Astor Hotel in New York City, celebrating the 300th anniversary of the Jewish people in America. And when you were introduced, this is what you said.
Mr. Chairman, Governor Dewey, Mr. Mayor, distinguished members of this distinguished audience, I was very much touched by this song of Mr. Fisher's, which I have heard for the first time. At my request, he's going to sing one verse so all people watching the television or listening on the radio can hear one verse of that song.
So tonight, in honor of your birthday, we're happy to present this same young man, and he's going to sing the same song for you.
Happy birthday, Mr. President, and many, many more. When I'm worried and I can't sleep, I count my blessings instead of sheep, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. When my bankroll is getting small, I think of when I had none at all, and I fall asleep counting my blessings. I think about a nursery, and I picture curly hair, and one by one I count them as they slumber in their bed. If you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your blessings. If you're worried and you can't sleep, just count your blessings instead of sheep, and you'll fall asleep counting your
Thank you, Eddie Fisher. Mr. President, spirituals make unforgettable music. And now the men and women comprising the Voices of Victory sing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. Thank you, Voices of Victory. And continuing now from the West Coast, Nat King Cole and Nelson Riddle's orchestra have a birthday musical offering, Just a Little Street Where Old Friends Meet.
It's just a little street where old friends meet. I'd love to wander back someday to you. It may be old and sort of tumble down, but it means a lot to folks in my hometown. Although I'm rich or poor, I still feel sure I'm welcome as the flowers in May. It's just a little street where old friends meet and treat you in the same
Mr. President, we've asked a great many questions about the songs you like, and we heard that you were fond of The World is Waiting for the Sunrise. So we asked Nat King Cole and the Voices of Victory to sing it for you.
Dear one, the world is waiting for the sunrise. Every rose is heavy with dew. The thrush on high, his sleepy mate is calling, and my heart is calling you. The thrush on on high. His sleepy mate is calling, and my heart is calling.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you. It's wonderful to be able to wish you a happy birthday and hope you have many, many more.
Well, thank you, Nat King Cole, and the Voices of Victory. And now, Mr. President, by means of newsreel cameras, I'd like to present another of America's most charming ladies, the co-chairman of the Ike Day Committee, Miss Irene Dunn.
Mr. President, early this morning at the Babies and Children's Hospital here in California, Jimmy Cagney and I had the pleasure of cutting one of the first birthday cakes. And this cake, like many thousands of others all throughout the country, was baked from a recipe which Mrs. Eisenhower said is your favorite.
Mr. President, we're in a room at the hospital right now, and as you can see, the children are as happy as though with their own birthdays. They want to join with many other children in other wards in sending a message to you, and I want to say that they, too, enjoyed your birthday cake.
Thank you, Irene Dunn, and thanks, Jimmy Cagney. Now, Mr. President, there's one more song for you today. Once heard, this song is never forgotten. I imagine you've heard it quite often. Probably the first time when you were a plebe at West Point. Here's Fred Waring and his Pennsylvanians with the West Point alma mater. President, earlier this evening you saw Miss Helen Hayes cut a birthday cake in your honor. Now, young Johnny Cross received the first slice, and before he could say thank you, he was promptly escorted to the White House to deliver it to you. In fact, I think he should be there right now. David and Barbara Ann Eisenhower, would you take a look and see if he's outside the door there?
I would like you to meet my grandfather.
Johnny, how are you? Thank you very much for bringing this over. You sit down over there, and then we'll all have a bit of it after that. Can you do that?
Mr. President, thousands of scrolls have been circulated all over the country in recent weeks. In fact, one of the main activities has been the signing of these scrolls by millions of your fellow Americans to wish you a happy birthday. And right there with you in the White House is Mr. Charles H. Percy, the chairman of the Ike Day Committee, and he's going to present some of these scrolls to you.
Mr. President, millions of Americans throughout the country believe that no man in our time has given so much of himself in the service of his country and to his fellow man throughout the world. We could not possibly give a birthday present of a material kind to you, therefore, that would express our real feeling toward you. And so we are presenting to you at this time, on behalf of millions of Americans throughout the country, this scroll, which is symbolic of thousands of similar scrolls that have been signed throughout the country, from our major cities of New York to Chicago, and our smaller communities such as Barrington, San Mateo, and all of the smaller communities throughout our country. For this is symbolic of a pledge that your fellow Americans, millions of them, send to you tonight. May I read it to you, Mr. President? In appreciation of your dedication to our nation and the example you have set of devotion to God, family, and your fellow man, happy birthday, Mr. President. You have asked that the coming election be the decision of America, not the decision of a minority. Therefore, I pledge to vote and to do all I can between now and Election Day to encourage my friends and neighbors to vote.
Thank you very much, Mr. Percy. This is a sample. You haven't any idea how many signatures there are on all of the scrolls.
We couldn't possibly bring them all in.
Thank you very much. My friends, I cannot tell you how deeply touched my family and I are tonight to know that Mr. Percy, Miss Dunn have arranged this tremendous party. We are grateful to all of the entertainers that took part in making it such a wonderful evening. More than this, we're grateful to every single person who turned out this evening to join in this party for me and for my family. We are also deeply grateful that so many Americans have signed their names, that they are determined to do their duty this fall in determining the course of America and are going to get their friends to do the same. I cannot remember any birthday that's been quite so deeply meaningful to me as this one. Thank all of you, Mr. Percy, you and Miss Dunn, particularly for being the chairman of this great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope you'll stay and have a bit of this cake I just sent over.
We're very delighted to.
Happy, happy birthday.
Happy, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Yes.
We regret that the time purchased for this broadcast has now elapsed, and we must terminate the broadcast of the President's birthday party sponsored by the National Ike Day Committee.
This is the CBS Television Network.